I'm just having a look at the white hive too, and I've noticed there's an enormous amount of dead bees out the front. Is that the queen? Oh no, that's the queen. Oh no. So that's the queen from the white hive too. She's not that old, like hasn't been dead for that long. Man. Well, that's going to be tough for these guys. I just wonder why there's so many dead bees outside this hive. So, I suppose let's get into the white hive too and see what they're doing. I wasn't planning on doing this today, but time to rip 3 boxes open and see what we find. If you want to pick up one of these brand new t-shirts or even one of these fantastic stickers, pop on over to stinghoney.com.au. So let's jump into this monster hive and see if we can find a reason for the queen being dead and if they're making a new one. So we'll jump straight into the top box. A few bees up in the top. So last time I had a look in here, this frame here had minimal nectar and this one had been uncapped by the bees as they didn't have enough food. So let's find out. So this frame here, it's still got a good amount of nectar in it, which is interesting on both sides. Oh no, there's nothing on that side. Oh, minimal nectar. Okay, this other frame here, so that's absolutely bone dry now, where that had a little bit of nectar. I'll just check this other one over here. Yeah, that's right. So these 2 frames are now got less stores than they did. So that was really well propolised on. You can just see that propolis sticking up there. I don't know if these bees are intermingled with dead bees, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of action, does there? So see how quiet these bees are without smoke? I don't know if you've seen the other videos on this hive where the bees are just teeming. So that frame's really heavy. Maybe they copped a whiff of a little bit of smoke, but they don't look too bad. I'll pop that frame aside. So second frame in, this box is quite tight with propolis. Oh, this is really heavy. So that frame is chock-a-block. So it couldn't be a starvation issue. The third frame in. Ooh, here's some telltale signs. So So there's nothing in that queen cup, just a practice cup. It's potentially just because that piece of comb is overhanging that they've built it. But I also did notice that it sort of looks like it's been potentially chewed open. Doesn't it? Let's find out. But on the other side, you know, that's just really nice quality honey. So next frame in, that's all nectar. There's a bit of brood, and I think we have eggs as well. In all these cells here, there are eggs and some larvae. So you can see all those cells have a really nice uniformed laying pattern. Looks like single eggs in all of them. And this section over here on the right is really lovely milky brood. Just look at the amount of moisture surrounding those larvae. Perfect. And we've got good brood on that side as well. So I'll pop that frame back in and we'll have a look at the next one, which I can tell already it's got great brood and a great amount of bees on it. Perfect, look at that. Really nice larvae through this drone comb here. Quite a nice little patch of brood for the third box up, and the same on that side. So far there's been no clear indicators as to why there would be a queen out the front. And it's the same here. Although this is filled with a little bit of nectar, but that's a really nice brood frame. They're bringing their honey down, pushing the nest down, which I'm fine with. Oh, there's our queen. Well, there you go. Wow. So that's odd. So there's our queen bee just wandering around on the frame. So that's straight away alleviated all my stress, because it's pretty obvious that this hive is fine. But so why was there a queen outside of the hive? I'm going to delve a little bit deeper and find out. Really heavy frame, really lovely glistening honey, yet to be cured. There's our queen again, doing a ripper job. So it is possible that, actually I'm just going to, these boxes don't have a lot of room underneath the frames, so I'm just going to see if I can't get that queen back into the box. There she is on the edge there. I think she walked back into the box because she's not on this frame anymore. So we can move forward. Now this next, this is the frame that was broken. You might remember, I don't know if I showed you guys that video. This frame is broken. So all I'm doing with this is I'm just reconnecting it. Pop it back in. I'm going to pop that frame back in there, see if we can't get them to fill that with honey. But let's pop these other two boxes off and see if there aren't any issues further down in the hive. Oh, jeez. So I've taken that box off and just set it aside on top of the other box with the excluder. basically reversing the order of the hive. I popped the silver mat on top. That gives the bees a little bit of peace of mind. They don't tend to fly out too much from that. So they're quite flighty, but they're not pulling out of the beehive like they usually do. If you've seen previous videos on this hive, there's normally half a box of bees on the outside of the front. This frame's really quite stuck down. And this is just pollen. A little bit of honey up the top, but very, very wet pollen all the way around. And you can just see how wet that pollen actually is. And on the other side, it looks empty. I'll pop that aside. Goodness, that's stuck. So this is really ugly drone comb. Full on. All that drone comb, look how deep it is. There's one chewing its way. There's one chewing its way out of the cell as we speak. And very similar on the other side. Just a huge amount of drone comb. It looks like, based on the angle of these cells, this was originally honeycomb that they've laid out. So to get a good idea of any potential threat from Varroa, I'm going to uncap this drone comb with my little drone comb and see what we've got inside. I'll spare you all the gory details, but basically I've uncapped all those drones and there's no Varroa within those cells. That I've uncapped all those drones is probably upsetting the hive a little bit, thus they become a little bit more flighty. So that frame there, that's all, looks like pretty good brood. It looks like here through here is all nectar. Doesn't look like it's laid out. Actually, yeah, it's laid out through. It's actually laid out through this corner here. So she's doing a great job. And on the other side, really nice quality brood. And we've got lots of larvae you can see in here that's a bit lighter. And eggs through there. What a beautiful hive. I just love this hive. Amazing. This middle frame's really, really light, but it's all eggs, the whole thing. And on the other side, all eggs as well. So I'm really confused about why there's that enormous amount of dead bees at the front of the hive and that queen. So next frame in, frame number 5, stuck down like nothing else. Again, massive amount of brood and all eggs and larvae in that left hand side. Same thing on the other side. Again, more brood. Oh, and here we have another queen cup. So for a second I thought that queen cup had an egg in it, but there's just something a little bit damp in there. Let's see. And just to confirm, I've opened that up and I was right, there's nothing in there. So that's good news. So let's get this frame back in. Bees are a little bit more flighty now. Frame is absolutely stuck down. I feel like that one broke as well. Yeah, it did. Look at that. These frames are just not made the way they used to be. So that's just comb. A little bit of pollen in it, and a little bit of wet pollen and honey on the other side. Small break in proceedings and camera overheated, which happens a fair bit when you're recording outside. Okay, so now I'm going to take this second box off and put it on top of the other box. Okay, so that's stacked off to the side, and here is our bottom box. Let's get in and see how they go. So first frame, I'd like to see a little bit of brood in here, but I imagine that it's probably just honey or nectar. So really nothing happening. A little bit of pollen just up in this bit here. And next one, no, really nothing happening there at all. I'll pop that one aside. So next frame in. Oh, there we go. So look at that. Now if you look really, really closely, you might be able to see a bit of movement in these larvae. Look at that one centre of screen, you can see it. Looks like peristalsis, something like that. Fascinating. Absolute ripper of a hive, lots of brood. Same thing here, so we've got pollen through here, but mostly nectar, but there is a tiny little bit of brood dotted in amongst that. They seem to be doing okay with the smoke. Normally they're pooling all over the front of the hive, but they don't seem to be now. Wow, look at that. So even more capped brood with larvae and eggs around the outside. And on this frame here, multitude of pollen, capped brood. Pop that one back in. I don't know if you can tell, but the bees are quite feisty. Wow, look. Goodness gracious me. I think I'm just going to have to make a split. And only because they're just so fabulous. So next frame in, even more brood and pollen. Such a strong queen, such a fabulous hive. It seems It seems mean to take frames out, but I'm leaning towards doing a split. There's nothing untoward that's showing us why that queen was outside the hive. And I think I've come to a realisation why the queen was outside the hive. I'll tell you about that in a sec. The next frame in, this is all pollen. And more brood on the outside with an enormous amount of wet pollen all the way around. So this whole box, the bottom box, there's just so much pollen. They're doing absolutely perfectly. So I've decided I'm going to make a split off this hive right now. So I've been lucky enough to be gifted this nucleus hive to test it out by Hornsby Beekeeping. This nucleus hive is a deluxe version of the 5-frame nuke. It's large enough inside to house 4 full depth frames and a 50mm hive feeder, or 5 frames. It has a WeatherTex base and lid, 10mm risers, and it's assembled from New Zealand radiata pine. It's been wax dipped and painted for that extra durability. It's an excellent choice if you want to split a hive in a hurry, just like I'm about to do now. For more information, check out the link below. Let's get back to the video. So I'm just going to choose the frames that go into this split. Definitely this frame, it's all pollen. Next frame from this bottom box. So this is all pollen as well. I think I'm going to pinch this little bit of emerging brood. These frames of brood just don't have enough on them, so I'm not going to put any of these in, I don't think. Let's just have a quick squiz at these again. Oh, that's a ripper. So that one's definitely going in there. That will turn this nucleus hive into an absolute monster of a hive. And I think this frame here is a great contender. A little bit of pollen, plenty of brood. So I bought some frames down with me, a couple of empty ones. These ones have got a fair bit of wax moth on them, but if I strip that out, give the bees a bit of a head start, they will be absolutely fine with this. They'll just work it out. Same with this frame. This is a dead out frame. And this one here, a little bit of wax moth. Never hurt anyone. I've got this original frame that was in the bottom box, so I'm going to pop that in. So I've popped those frames into that nuke. Now I'm going to put the lid back on so all those nurse bees don't fly away. So now I've got a few frames of brood in this nuke from this bottom box. I'm going to plonk the next box on and start shaking nurse bees into the nuke. Alright, so let's find a couple of frames of nurse bees. So I'm going to look for a nice big fat frame with good eggs, larvae and emerging brood. And it's not that one. So that's got emerging brood, but it doesn't look like any eggs. So this frame here has got eggs and larvae through that half and emerging brood there. So that's a great contender. I'm just going to check for the queen. Nope, no queen. That's a winner. So now I'm going to systematically pull frames with a good amount of nurse bees on it and drop them into this box here. and then close this box up and set it aside. So now I'll pop that second box back on, or third box back on, and shake some bees out of there. I'm not too concerned if I don't find the queen. She'll either end up in this hive or she'll end up in that hive. One of them will remake a queen. What I have decided to do is I'm going to bail on this one frame with brood and pollen, and I'm going to put a good frame of food in there. This is a solid frame of honey. They'll definitely need this as well as some food. So I'm pretty happy with the numbers of bees in this hive. So I'm going to pop the lid on and put their entrance reducer in. For now, that'll keep the bees in the hive, and then when I move them, I'll take that out. So that white hive 2 is all packed up and the nuke is ready to go. So our rain started to pick up a little bit more. It's getting quite damp here. So in the hope that the drift from this big hive, being that it's on the end of the row of hives, the drift will end up in the nuke. I'm actually just going to place the nuke right next to this hive. And there's a lot of bees on the outside of this hive, so I've just cracked the lid in the hope that they make their way in, which it looks like they're just starting to. So after some consideration and inspection, I've determined that this queen is probably a failed returning queen to that walkaway split that I did 4 weeks ago. But I would probably hazard a guess that this queen, on her return to this hive, got disorientated and was killed by that hive. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. So it's the following weekend since I made that split on that nuke, and I had a terrible realisation last night. I never reopened that nuke.